Hey guys, it's Maymay, and we are on my back porch, and this is a new table that we purchased for our back porch, and we're excited because in the summertime in Alabama it means outside barbecues and being outside and all that good stuff, and I've never found a table that fit this spot like I wanted it to, but this one does. However, it's not very pretty now, is it? It is very utilitarian, but not very pretty. So I thought it needed something here especially because if you can see, I had to do a little work to make that kind of plug in that little hole to keep our flag straight, our umbrella straight. So I decided to try a little DIY, and I thought I'd bring you guys along, so let's get started. So these are the supplies I'm starting with. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these lights that are on a string, but we might. I'll show you when I get started why I decided I probably won't use those. But I also bought these lights. They're made to stake into the ground in different places, but I love them, and I wanted this centerpiece to kind of light up, so I have a plan. I'm going to be using some Spanish moss and also this ring. This is one of those wreaths. I have seen them at Walmart so much lately, and I have wanted to find a way to use them but didn't know exactly how. And I want to give you guys the information, so there's the information on that. So these are going to be the star of the show. The lights might be, but I think these are. These are my succulents. Now here's the deal. These little wall plaques, they're actually for hanging on the wall, and they have faux succulents inside. They were regular $14 and some change at Walmart, but they were on clearance for $4 each. There are 6 succulents in each one of those guys, and when I priced succulents at $2 a piece, $14 was a pretty good price for these little guys when they weren't on clearance, but $4 made them awesome. So we're going to take those apart and use those succulents on the cheap. So let's start putting this fun project together. So the first thing I'm going to do is snip this little tag off of the wreath form, and I want to show you what this wreath form does. It actually opens up. You see how that does? It's like got this base, and then it has the round part, which is the wreath, and it is shaped like a wreath. Now, it's my understanding this is for like a real succulent wreath. Like if you wanted to put moss and dirt inside of the opening here, and then you could close this back together and actually plant real succulents. Well, we're not going to do that because why? I will kill them. Yes, I know they don't need much water, but I'm not good at that, so we're going to do it this way. So here we have it, and when I let go, it tilts forward. Don't worry about that because once we start filling it up, it will not do that. But I'm going to use some Spanish moss that I picked up from Walmart, and by the way, everything in this project today came from Walmart. I was there yesterday getting an oil change, walking around, and I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I need. So I'm gonna load some Spanish moss into this guy, starting on this end here. You could use styrofoam here if you thought you needed to, because you could absolutely like fill this with styrofoam, and then whatever you stick in will go into the styrofoam, but I'm not going to because I think this moss is gonna hold, because I'm gonna put it in there pretty tight. So now you can see I filled the wreath form with the Spanish moss, and that's going to poke down in there once we lay the lid down. Now if you're wanting to recreate this wreath itself is 12 inches according to the tag, and the bag of moss that I used is measured in inches, and it's 150 inches is what the bag contains. So now we can flip this lid over on our wreath. Look how neat that is, and it just encases everything and creates our own Spanish moss wreath. Now this little piece is like the lock that goes over, so you just tuck that in there and lock this wreath together. They're all the way around. They're like little latches, so I'm just going to tuck that in and tuck. I think there's 4. Nope, there's 3. So now it is all locked together, and you can see what our wreath looks like. That's beautiful all by itself, but now we want to make it even prettier. So for lighting, my original plan was to use these string lights that come on a brown strand, which would be perfect, and they're solar powered, and they would go inside this wreath form before the moss so that they would kind of be laying on top of the moss. However, to make them work, you have to have this big panel, and you have to have it where the sunlight can hit it and those sort of things. So I decided not to use it because it was a little bulky, and I just thought it would take away from the aesthetic of the wreath. So I'm not going to use those today. So instead of using the string lights, we're going to use these little pole lights, which are called, they're soft light, and they don't put off a whole lot of light, but for where I'm using this, I really just want it to be more kitschy than, you know, actually useful. So this is what they are. They're $2 a piece. Well, they're like $1.97 at Walmart, but check this out. This piece comes off super easy. See that? And it leaves us with this little like, I don't know, pole on the end of it. Now you have to pull this little tab out because that's what activates it and keeps the battery good when it's you know, in the store and sitting on the shelf. So you pull that little tab out, and these guys are ready to work. Now I should be able to show you how it works. Let's see. Now, if you can see inside my hands, there's a little bitty light shining. That is the light, and it's hard because we're out here in the brightness, but it does light up. Now, here's my plan. Okay, this wreath has 6 little separations. You got right between these little poles. I counted them earlier when I was at Walmart to know how many to get. So I purchased 6 of these little lights. My plan is to put them down into the moss and into the wreath form, and I'm wiggling that into the moss so that the moss will come up and hold it, and they will sit on the wreath like this. It's kind of going to look like a ring light when we're finished, but we're going to add the succulents in to kind of disguise these guys, almost like a miniature garden. How cute, huh? So we're going to keep adding these guys all the way around just like that. So removing that tag again, and then finding a spot for it in our wreath and wiggling it into the moss to hold it. So I'll go all the way around just like that on our wreath form. Also, a tip to save yourself some headache: while you're at the store, pull that pole off and make sure the tags are all in place. If you don't, you may end up with a light that's maybe spent or the battery is messed up. So I just pulled the little pole off of every one, slid it down, made sure that those little tags were still there, and that way I knew my lights would be okay. I'm also taking a pair of scissors and kind of moving this moss up around that pole where I need it, just by sticking it through the little grates, and that helps those to sit. So look how cool that looks already. It's just a bunch of lights, but I think it looks neat, and the crackle finish on those lights is beautiful. Now for the super fun part, move this guy out of the way, and let's take apart some succulent plants. So here's this little guy, and all of these are just sitting in some styrofoam. Now I may have to do a little work to get these guys out, but I know that I can, and I'll tell you how I know that I can. It's kind of sad. Somebody had already done it at the store. They had taken one apart. They probably had the same idea I had, but they shouldn't have taken it apart at the store, but they did. And so I could see how there was a hole in one of the other ones. So I just purchased these guys knowing I could get them out. So check that out. Now we'll be able to just tuck these into our wreath form, but I want to pull them all out first so we can start arranging them. So once I pulled those succulents out, it left me with this, which is a really cute shadow box. So don't toss this guy away. You can use it for something else. And just to show you, I want to show you the price here. They were regular $14.97, marked down to $4. So look on your clearance aisles, guys. You never know what you might find. All right, let's bring this guy back over. And it's going to sit nice and flat. That's one thing I like about this wreath form, is that it sits so flat, but it still looks like a wreath. Isn't that cool? Okay, let me get this where you can see what I'm going to do. These are the succulents that I pulled out. You can see they have some styrofoam. I kind of flaked off all I could get off, and I'm not going to stress about the rest. And then here's what's going to happen. We're just going to tuck them down in to our little wreath, into our Spanish moss, and into the wire wreath, and let it hold it all the way around, just in different places. And I'm really going to kind of focus around these lights. I want it to kind of really be around those lights to kind of make them part of the wreath and not just kind of sticking there in the air. So I'm going to run around and do that, and then I'll come back and fill in with anything I have left over in the middle. Now, you could hot glue this into place if you wanted to, but I decided not to. The reason I'm not going to is we have a lot of birds in our area, and I'm wondering how long it will take for them to attack this little wreath on my table. So I decided not to hot glue it. That way, if I need to take it apart and kind of redo it, I can. But I'm going to hope for the best. But put this in an area of your house where you know it can be taken care of. You know, I don't know how the birds are going to react to this, but we'll see. Well, here it is. This is my succulent light garden all completed. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, now how are you going to get that with that umbrella through the middle? How are you going to get that pole up there? Well, I'm lucky. My umbrella pole comes apart in 2 pieces. So I'm going to remove the umbrella portion, leaving the pole open, and then just sit this down and then put the umbrella back on. And it will be right around my flagpole. Now, I know you want to see it at night, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on my table and take some photos tonight when the light changes. And I will put those photos in 2 places. One is my Facebook page, which is called Maymay Made It. So check that out. Not a group. You don't have to join a group to see it. It's just my Facebook page, Maymay Made It. So go over there and click like on that page. And also on Instagram and Twitter and any other social media I have, I'll put pictures of it. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little succulent light garden. And if you make one of these, I want to see it. So share your creations with me over on Maymay Made It, and So Did I on Facebook. And let us see what you're making. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.